Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm creating a Christmas card using this adorable image from Rachelle Anne Miller called Fireside. I started by printing this out onto Transotype perfect coloring paper, and the next step that I did was to cut this panel out using my basic rectangles from Mama Elephant, and then I started coloring. Now, I say it often when you're unsure about the way to color something, I prefer starting with that. If I cannot fix any mistakes, then I can just start over and I didn't do all the work. So that's why I started here. I started with the face. I have this specific combination that I use very often for the face. It's not totally really light skin, but it's also not really brown, and I don't know, I really like this color, so I tend to use it often. Now I have to go back and forth quite a lot when I'm doing a skin tone, so that's why I started with it. And then of course the hair excuse me, then the hair. As you can see here, I had no clue where I had to start flicking. This image is really simple, so there aren't as many guidelines as I normally have, and I was a bit out of my comfort zone. I didn't like this at all. Now I decided to try and fix this by changing the shadowing that I did and just sort of have the tail where the shadowing is beginning and ending. I don't know. You will see this is a mess, and it took me a while to fix the mess, but I'm really glad that I kept going until I was happy with it. Now there aren't as many strokes as I would normally have when I'm doing a Rachelle Anne Miller image, but I don't mind. It's also a way of coloring hair, and the end result is fine, so that's why I kept it in and decided to continue with my fix. But I think if I would do the image again in the future, then I would just start with the shadowing like I'm doing right now, from the tail going upwards and just fading into the lighter area. That was in the end what helped me, but of course I started off completely wrong and I had a lot of lines going everywhere, so I needed a few layers to fix it. But I'm glad with it, so I continued with the rest of the image. Now, just for reference, if you are curious about a specific color combination and you don't write anything down, I have all the color combinations on my blog post, and there is a link in the description box for you so that you can easily find the blog post again. You can always rewatch, of course, but if needed, I listed it for each of the images so that you can easily find what you're looking for. So I decided to do the same colors on the cat. It's not next to the girl, so I didn't think about using another combination to let it stand out more, because they are really separate. And I also used a part of that combination of the hair and the cat for the wooden box. Now onto the rest of the coloring. I decided today to do a bit of a pinkish, greenish highlights, and so this is my darkest color combination. It's actually a pink. It's R24 R14, and I'm using it on really small areas, so I didn't bother about searching for a third color. Even my lightest pink and my greens today will be two color combinations, which is really handy if you don't have a lot of markers. But also in this case, for the darker pink, the areas are really small, so you don't have a lot of room to do some ink blending. So two definitely is enough if you ask me. Even one would work. Here is my lightest pink combination for today, so I'm using a combination of those two pinks. It's also a really soft shadowing that I'm doing, but I thought it was just really cute with the image that I'm coloring in. And then on the dress, as you can see, those lovely details that we all get when we are coloring in Rachelle Anne Miller's things. I tried first to avoid going over those dots because I wanted them to stay white, but it was inevitable. I went over them, but it's a really soft pink. So I decided later on to use a white jelly roll pen to fix it. You can also use a colorless blender if you don't want the pinks or the color you're using to be on the inside of those dots. But just because it's really tiny and fiddly, I thought just use the white jelly roll pen. Just use that, and then it's way easier to get that white back. So that's what I did. Again, using the same pinks as I said, I'm only using 2 combinations of pinks each time with 2 markers. Just to keep it simple, there is a lot going on this image. I must admit, I loved it. Then I printed it, and then I waited to color this in because I was a bit intimidated by the image. Now, the way I colored in, it was actually quite quickly. Well, it's a big image, so it took me a while, but it was doable, and it was in a shorter term than I expected. Also because I'm not going to color each brick by brick. That might help as well. So for this image as well, I looked up some fireplaces with Christmas decorations online, just to make sure that I had the coloring right, not that everything is with pinks and stuff. That was just a color combination that I wanted to use. But I found a lot of white fireplaces, and so I am using some B50s to color the fireplace later on, just to keep it really soft, but at the same time to let it stand out. Comparing it with the background, there was a difference. So that's how I came up with the color for the fireplace, and then afterwards I had a color combination that I thought, okay, that would work well with the fireplace, which is sort of a bit of a vanilla color in my opinion. It's also a combination that I often use for blonde hair, you know, multiple purposes. So here I added some more shadows on the greenery. Of course, it's a bigger area, so you can definitely use multiple markers, but I wanted to keep it simple, so again 2. Also, where I went over those dots again, you can see them as Christmas lights, but as the dress with the dots and all those things, I wanted to keep them white again, so I will also be using some white jelly roll pen on that. But then afterwards I decided to change that up, so just ignore the part where I'm adding white jelly roll pen on the greenery, because that's not necessary in the end. And now onto the fireplace. So I'm just doing some flicking. I'm going to create a gradient starting from E53 to E51, E50. And then for the other areas I will also be adding E55 just to have some darker shades as well, to have all of the areas being separate, and so that they all stand out a bit more from each other. But I'm reusing this combination, just adding that E55. You will see that. So it's really simple. It's something that I tell often, but maybe don't always show it, but if you have a color combination of 3, you have that combination, but you can use the 2 lightest, the 2 darkest, so you have 3 combinations. And if you want to, you can use the lightest and the darkest and maybe do tip to tip to get that blend. It's the 4th combination. And if you have then another marker that is close to one of those 3, you even have a 5th or 6th combination. You see? So that's something that I really like. Also something that I did when I started with Copic Markers. I started with combinations of 3, and when I bought a new one, I always made sure that it was also usable with the ones I already had, because it's not just one combination that you add to your collection. At that point, you add many more. So here, as I said, I'm adding that 55 to go a bit darker and have an effect of that being deeper, in my opinion, or more in front, depending on how you're looking at it. And that's just how I started building up a fireplace, and I think it ended up really cute. So maybe if I would remake this card, I think I would also love to make one with a teal instead of the pinks, or teal and pinks, because I like the bows in the pink. So that's something that you can do. You can do all the colors of the rainbow if you want to, of course. Or if you are like with 3 at home, or 3 children or whatever, you can give each of the children another color of sock. That would also be lovely. I'm always trying to create a card that is the most personal possible, and I know who I'm making it for. I'm always trying to use those colors that they like, or use those images that they like. So I think that there are many options to create a gorgeous card with this amazing digital stamp. I truly love it. Also, as you can see, starting on those Christmas cards more and more, which I'm really glad about. Although I must admit, the cards that I'm making with Rachelle Anne Miller illustrations, I personally think I am going to box them all, just keeping them for myself. I don't know. Nah. We all have that from time to time. There are some cards, and you know that was like, yeah, your best ever. I really love the images from Rachelle Anne Miller, so I am honored to be on the design team. This month and next month already, I am going to showcase some more than just 2 on her channel, so I will be more on my channel with her designs as well. If I have the time, I try to create more, of course. And I had a few weeks off. I took a little holiday, or vacation is the right word in English, I think. So I had some more time off, and I really got going with all these amazing digital stamps. So that's why I have a bit more, but I will try to keep it up because I really like showcasing them. So here, as I said previously, I'm just bringing back that white, going over everything to be sure, but then later on in the greenery I will do something else there. And then also on the dress, I also went a bit outside the lines on the mat before for the fireplace. So there I fixed it as well with some white jelly roll pen. Why not? I was busy, so we just continue with it. And then once that's done, I'm going to add a really subtle background. Now, I was thinking, and originally I just was going to add the Xmas that I have later on, but then I thought, no, I can add something more, but really subtle, because I love the coloring, and I was like, I'm not going to take away any of the attention from the coloring towards the background. That's not worth it. We colored this whole thing in, we need to let it shine. So I decided to use my purple tape and to mask off the grounding, and then of course the stitching details. You know me, I don't need to repeat myself every time, but I just love keeping those stitching details white. So I'm always using that purple tape to cover it up. Okay, not always, but most of the time. 99% of my cards with stitching details will have the stitching details white. That being said, I decided to take antique linen distress ink, which almost matches with the color of the fireplace, and I thought that was genius. Also, I didn't have the urge to mask off my colored in image because it's a really soft color, and I was only going to ink blend it really softly on the edges around the upper half of this card, so that the wall behind the fireplace was highlighted and then the grounding would stay white. That was the idea. So I first took a smaller brush to help me just on the sides so that I wouldn't overlap too much with the image neither. And then I took a bigger one to fix the rest, to go a bit quicker, and to still have that soft flow into the wide area, because I'm not going to cover this back completely with the antique linen. So once that's done, I can remove the purple tape and have that stitching detail white. I love it. And then of course the grounding, really slowly peel that off over there, because you can rip your paper if you're not careful, and I don't want that. So now I decided to check which color would go well with the things that I used, and I ended up with the Grapefruit Concord and 9th colored cardstock. For the sentiment, I took the amazing Oliver Alpha die from Hello Bluebird. It's a really thin alphabet, but it's big, so it's substantial enough even when it's that thin, and that's what I really like about this alphabet, and I just thought it was perfect for this image. I don't know about you, but I like it, and it's exactly that pink of the dress in my opinion. I just love that. Okay, lining my Xmas using the grit, and then I use just this triangle to help me. Once you push it all upwards, it automatically is straightened by the edge. That's what I like. Then I used my purple tape to lift it all together, and I made sure to have that purple tape wider than my panel so that I could line it up with the mat again. As you can see, many ways to line it up, but from time to time I just prefer making sure that my panel is straight on my mat, and then I can look at the grit, tape it down, and normally I let it set for a while, but I was too curious, so I removed it slowly where my leathers lifted up again because it wasn't dry yet. I just pressed it down with my fingers, and then I had this panel. Exciting. Okay, going to add this panel on my card base, just using some adhesive roller. That's how I prefer adding my panels. And then I decided to add some final details. And I'm not talking about embellishments, I'm talking about the NUVO Crystal Drops Simply White. Something that since this year I already made a few cards and I still need to show them, I know, but they are coming. This year I have noticed when I'm making a Christmas card that I really like to add white on those accessories from the Christmas cards. So that's what I'm doing here, just adding. And I also decided to add it on the socks, to add it in the greenery. I just love it. And then I used this tiny needle to help me get it into those tiny areas. If I had too much, I removed it with it. That's always handy to have on hand. And then this card is completely finished. Isn't it adorable? Okay, let me know in the comments what you think, but I'm so glad with this card. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and as I said, I hope that you like the end result. If you do, you can always give this one a thumbs up. I would truly appreciate it. I want to thank you all for stopping by and taking the time to watch this video. I wish you all a fabulous day, and I will be back soon with some new crafty inspiration. Bye!